Quickly, let's talk about pallet docking and how we can organize our pallets on screen. So I have a variety of pallets, right? We've talked about my basic tool pallet. We have more tool pallets here. On the right side of the screen are the object info palette, and below that's the resource manager. You may even have a navigation palette that exists in here somewhere. And I have these two palettes that are out here that are floating. Pallet docking is how I'm able to take a palette and I can make it part of or connect it somewhere around screen. If I click and hold the bar and move the palette just a little bit, you'll see that I get these four different things. And if I hover over it, the blue area shows you where I'm going to dock that palette. So now I have docked my attributes palette to the right side here. If I come up and I grab it again, I can pull it back to where it just floats in space. No, right? And then I can resize it as needed, right, to get it back to where I want it to be. But I can move a palette around to wherever I want. And actually, I'm going to make that a little smaller so it's back about where it was. Great. Now, your undo command does not work for pallet docking. So once you move something, you just have to move it back to where you want. The one I would like to talk about is going to be the object info palette. And now to make sure that you have this object info palette, you can go to Windows, Palettes, and make sure that the object info is selected, right? That you have a little check mark next to it and it will appear. If I want to dock something off to the left or the right, right? So now I've pulled my object info palette out into space. It's just floating now in front of my drawing, where it's a pain in the tuchus, right? Because it's so big and now my screen is all eaten up by it. To put it back, if I hover over the right side, you'll see that I get these four quadrants again. And I also have one that puts it above everything, right? So you can choose how you want to organize your information or your layout, right? So just by clicking and holding, I can drag it into space. And then by clicking and dragging, I can put it back to where it belongs. Once it's there, if I choose to resize it, if I come down to the bottom of the window, you'll see that I get a little double line there. And now I can change how much real estate that palette occupies on the side. Again, it's hovering over, and then I can resize it. So that's palette docking.